I don't take that as an insult because I understand that that means that I'm just damn excellent and innovative. And yeah, I am DEI. I'm bringing diversity, and that's bringing something great. You're not insulting me.
There was a clip where Joy Reid acknowledged that she got into school because of affirmative action. For Joy and Michelle Obama, back then it was called affirmative action, not DEI. So I'll play this clip and another clip where Joy actually brings up JD Vance, who also went to an Ivy League school.
As many times as I have been called DEI or an affirmative action baby and all that, you know what I never get? Mad. Because I actually am very much in favor of DEI. I don't take that as an insult because I understand that that means that I'm just damn excellent and innovative. And yeah, I am DEI. I'm bringing diversity, and that's bringing something great. You're not insulting me. If you say, oh, you're an affirmative action person that got into Harvard, I'm like, yeah, I got into Harvard with affirmative action, and Yale, and Brown, and also, Vassar, and the University of Denver.
Okay, so before I go to the next clip, I didn't know she had went to all those schools, but she named a few schools that she got into. Those are all tough schools, just like Michelle graduated from Princeton and then graduated from Harvard Law. So maybe they got in because of affirmative action, but to graduate, they had to be able to do the work. So these students that they are letting in, Joy and Michelle, obviously are capable of doing the work. Otherwise, they would not have graduated. I'll go to the next clip of Joy. I'll let it play, but there's a quote if you guys want to read it before watching it. Well, I'll read it. JD Vance got into Yale because they were tired of just letting in white people from New York, which I could break that down. White people from New York, I've looked at the test scores, and generally speaking, there are regional differences, like the North scores higher than the South, whites score higher than blacks, Asians score higher than whites, but amongst whites, Jewish whites score higher than whites. They go down as white on the official test scores, but they've done studies, and the whites who are doing well are Jewish, and it just so happens that New York and Los Angeles have the highest percentage of Jewish people. So she's saying that white men from New York are scoring high, but if you were to look into the data, it probably would show you that these are Jewish people who are white in New York scoring high. So she's just saying that for JD Vance to get in, she's insinuating that maybe his scores were not as high as the average applicant in other whites, but she's saying that he got in as a white person from Appalachia. They wanted to let in more non-Jewish whites. I believe the statistics, I don't have them in front of me, but I believe that, well, I know Asians are like about 40%. At Harvard, the student population is about 45% Asian. I believe across all of the Ivy Leagues, Asians are somewhere between 35 to 50%. So mostly Ivy League schools are Asians. Then of the whites, which is usually about 30% of the school, of the whites, 12% of those whites are Jewish. So again, there's a very high overrepresentation of Jewish and Asian people at Ivy League schools. Let's play this clip.
As smart as I know my ass is, Ketanji Brown is smarter. Smartest person I've ever met in my life. When you smart, I'm smart. That lady is smart on a level I've never seen before. And her 3 roommates were even smarter. These girls were so smart that we were shocked that we'd ever met anybody that intelligent. And Amy Coney Barrett, on the other hand, is a Supreme Court justice just like Ketanji, even though her qualifications are minuscule compared to Ketanji's. Maybe that's the affirmative action we've been getting. White people who are essentially mediocre in scale compared to a black person getting the spot because they wanted a conservative. Maybe the way that JD Vance got into Yale is because they were tired of just letting in white men from New York, from Choate, from all the elite schools, and they wanted an Appalachian white. That's how that man got into Yale, I promise you. Same thing with Ron DeSantis from a small town in Florida. They wanted to just get out of the New York, D.C. matrix, Massachusetts matrix, and let somebody into Harvard and Yale who came from a different place. He came from Florida. Baby, that's also affirmative action and DEI. So before y'all start going crazy about DEI just meaning they let black people in just on the basis of being black, think a little more critically and think about the fact that it's also disabled people, military veterans, people who come from Appalachia, white folks who come from Alaska and different places that they don't normally come from, indigenous people, Latinos, Asians. And the last thing I'll say about this, for all of y'all people on Fox that are going to clip this because y'all mad about affirmative action, because yes, I embrace affirmative action because I belonged at Harvard and I was smarter than all the legacies I went to school with, who only were there because they were rich and their parents had a name on one of the buildings and they didn't go to class and I did. So I'm just going to let y'all know that we see affirmative action as these schools searching for people they wouldn't have ordinarily found without deliberately looking for us. They would have just let the same mediocre white men from rich families in. But instead, they let me in. And because of that, you now have the ability to attack me, right wingers. You have the ability to know who I am when I don't know who most of y'all are. But you know me because affirmative action brought me your way. Tell the Lord, thank you. Be great.
Okay, so the producer always tells me to come prepared. I hadn't actually watched the clip, but there's a lot to unpack here. So I see I always say this, guys, but I see both sides of the situation. All she's doing is she's bringing up the fact that there were legacy people that went to school with her who may have not had the score she had. They may have been people from Appalachia. They may have been people, as she said. I don't agree with the Asian take because Asians generally score way higher than the other races, but people from Alaska and just other demographics who normally don't go to Ivy League schools. So I understand that it doesn't just help blacks, and it's potentially helping the Ivy Leagues have a more diversity in terms of not just the race, but the type of people going to the school, which does, diversity can bring its strengths. It brings diversity of thought. It brings diversity to different cultures. Different cultures have different needs. Different cultures put emphasis on different things. So I see why Ivy League schools wanted more diversity, and I support that. But I would also implore Joy and Michelle and other people to understand that when your scores are lower than some of the white kids who, because of DEI, didn't go to the Ivy League schools, but instead they may have had scores that would have put them at Ivy League schools, but instead they are going to schools like maybe a Pittsburgh or Boston College. I can see why there's some resentment because those white people are going to say, but I had scores better than yours. I was just intelligent as you. I didn't get the opportunity. So though I'm okay with what DEI has brought, I think that Joy and some of the other people who are on the left, they sometimes are inconsiderate and not understanding of why certain people are upset. Certain people feel that they also deserve that opportunity, and that opportunity was taken away from them, and they deserved it. So that's just something that I want people to be mindful of about this DEI conversation. There, I believe, some benefits, but there are also some negatives. And just generally speaking, the average, I think I said this earlier in the episode, but the average IQ for the Asians at the Ivies is 150. The average IQ for whites at the Ivies is about 145. The average for Hispanics is about, the average for Hispanics is about 140. And then the average for blacks is about 130. So with IQ scores, anything over 120 is considered high. Anything over 140 is considered exceptionally high. So the Asians, the whites, and the Hispanics who are at the Ivy League schools, generally, I would say, just off their scores, belong. With the blacks being at 130, they are intelligent. 130 is a high IQ. I don't know if you can say very high, but it's definitely a high IQ. The only issue that I do see is that, let's say 140 was the cutoff and the blacks didn't make it, because not all the blacks, but the average black in the Ivy school didn't make it. I would just say that the 140s, the Hispanics, whites, and Asians are highly exceptional, whereas some of the blacks may be, I won't say better placed, but they may fit along the lines intelligence-wise and scores-wise of people at Boston College, or Tulane down south that's in New Orleans, my hometown, and then Boston College. So, in Pittsburgh University. So these are good, reputable schools. So I think that it's an insult to the blacks at Ivy League schools who get called low IQ or say they don't have their job because of merit or say they're not where they are in life because of merit. I mean, even if they had not gone to the Ivy League schools, the average black at an Ivy League school still would have gone to a very prestigious college. So it's just ridiculous to call the blacks at Ivy League schools DEI hires. They're exceptionally bright people. In case you guys want to see the statistics on the averages for Ivy Leagues, and I also have the averages for Harvard specifically, you can see that the scores for the Ivy League schools for Asians is 1550 on the SAT. Practically nothing wrong. You can get a 1600 on the SAT. The average white score is 1500 on the SAT. Hispanic is 1400 and black is 1350. Also, they have the ACT scores. Just for Asians is 35. For whites is 34. Hispanics is 31. So that's not low, but I do see a difference between like 35, 34, and then 31. And then blacks are at 29. At Harvard, they get at 30. So blacks at around 30 is kind of low. I suppose this is saying that the Hispanics are 135, so they're not quite 140 like I said. So yeah, maybe the Hispanics at Ivy League schools also need to do a little bit better. And then the whites and Asians are both above 140, but 150 is not 145. So again, they are still holding Asians to a higher standard than whites to get into the Ivy League schools. If you like this video, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. New shows airing Monday through Thursday.